Will the 49ers place a waiver claim? So let's clear that up right now. The question was, will they sign OBJ? The rule change in the NFL places it such that now we are in a waiver claim situation. As soon as the transaction wire is official, we've gotten the notice from Cleveland. So whether it's been submitted to the league office or not, that notification that was put out, a statement by the Browns organization, it's clear that OBJ it's a technicality if he's not been cut or waived at this point. But the new rules state that even though he's a vested NFL veteran, he will need to clear waivers, which means in reverse order based on the record of NFL teams, they will be able to submit claims. So the worst teams in the NFL have the highest priority of claiming Odell Beckham Jr. The 49ers sit at 12th on that list. So 11 other teams would need to pass on submitting a claim for Odell Beckham Jr. in order for him to make it to the San Francisco 49ers. There was a reworking of his deal, apparently, that made it a lot more palatable for the Browns to let him go, to move some dead money around, and would make it easier for a team to claim him because the Browns are incentivized to have another NFL team claim him. As soon as he is claimed by an NFL team, his remaining salary comes off of their books. His remaining salary for this year, there's still a lot of dead money there, but it helps them out financially. If he clears waivers, then less money comes off the books because then it's a balancing act of how much he gets paid on a fresh contract. As of right now, teams place a claim, they take on whatever this newly negotiated contract is that he just hammered out today, as I understand it. It was, prior to that renegotiation, roughly $8 million remaining on his contract. He had already been paid upwards of $9 million, still $8 million remaining on this season. If the Niners were to need to clear space for $8 million, that would be a real problem. 49ers only have $3.5 million of cap space remaining, according to overthecap.com. That would not be enough to absorb OBJ. I looked through the number of contracts that you could shift around, restructure. There are not many choices for the 49ers. It comes down to basically Eric Armstead, Laken Tomlinson, and Jimmy G. But let's be real, I'm not counting that one. The 49ers are not committing to Jimmy beyond this year, so they're not going to renegotiate that contract with him. So that leaves you with two viable contracts to come up with enough money to claim OBJ. Eric Armstead, which is already a heavily backloaded contract, and Laken Tomlinson, who, because he's not been re-signed to this point, it indicates to me that they are probably not going to re-sign him. So that would be my take on it. But now that it's been redone, it could take less cap space to bring OBJ in. It just becomes a question of who places the waiver claim. So who are the teams that could place that waiver claim above the San Francisco 49ers? Well, it is the Detroit Lions sitting in last place. Could they use the help? Sure. Would OBJ be happy there? I doubt it. Is that the kind of character that Dan Campbell feels like he would bring in? I'm not so sure. Miami Dolphins, again, I think they have to write themselves off in that they're attempting to rebuild correctly. You can't bring in someone who could potentially become a source of unrest for the team. I would say the same thing for the Texans, although they could use the PR bump. You got to look at some of these teams that are lower on. That could be the reasoning. You could sell tickets by acquiring OBJ. You put in a waiver claim for OBJ, next year's season ticket sales might go up. I could see that as the next team on the list, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Hey, we've got a rookie quarterback, number 1 overall draft pick in Trevor Lawrence. We've got a bright future ahead of us. We're going to bring in Odell Beckham Jr. And yeah, we may not be competing this year, but we're building a team for the future. And Odell is a big part of that, gives us an elite weapon for the rookie to throw to. You could see them trying to sell their fan base on that. That could be something that they attempt to convince everyone that, that's going to be the situation. Washington football team, I don't see them laying a claim. The Jets with Saleh, I think he's trying to build the right way. The Giants certainly not going to try and bring him back. A couple of interesting ones for me. Really just one that I've set my sight on. The next three are Seattle, Philly, and Chicago. Could they? Yeah, they could. Chicago, I'm writing that off. They can't even get the ball to Allen Robinson. Philly, Maybe, but Seattle. I could see Seattle putting in a claim. I could absolutely see Seattle putting in the claim. Look at this. Nick pointing out some facts for us. This is important. OBJ will be $7.25 million against the cap remaining. If that is updated info based on the renegotiation that occurred today, that could be the tough number to hit because the San Francisco 49ers are $4 million away from hitting that and would need to restructure one of two deals. Eric Armstead, which I don't think many fans would be excited about, or Laken Tomlinson, which it doesn't seem the team is committed to at this point. So I could see the Seattle Seahawks have, oh, look, our Mob Nation is with me on this one. Here we go. Our Mob Nation. Seahawks have the claim ahead of us. OBJ will not come to the Niners because we simply don't have the money for him. So the second part of that, I disagree. You could clear up the cap space. It's a question of whether you want to. The 49ers have enough cash in pocket to get these things done. All you have to do is convert a player's current year salary to a bonus. You need to have the millions of dollars to do that because you got to pay him whatever it is, $6 million right now. You got to cut him a check for $6 million, but then that gets spread out over the remaining years of the contract. The 49ers could accomplish that. The question is, will they, or will another team ahead of them? Seattle's shown a willingness to chase some of these wide receivers. Josh Gordon immediately comes to mind. That, to me, is the biggest question mark. Will the Seattle Seahawks claim OBJ?